Hi everyone, so in this module I'm going to show you how to add in more BIM data into your existing geometry in your drawing. I'm going to explain you how to structure browser works and also how to classify entities, and afterwards also how to add in more BIM compositions and propagate the solids in your drawing. So let's get started. As you can see here, I already opened the main building start file, which you can find in the starter file. Let's open up the structure browser on your left hand side. I'm already in the BIM configuration. Of course, if I want to change that, or if that is not the case, you can go ahead in the hamburger menu and click on BIM, which is here. Of course, you see here I have a lot of different configurations. If you don't find it in the drop-down menu, you can select configuration and you will be directed to the support folder where you can find each configuration style as well. If you don't find BIM here, if you don't find it here in the support folder, I have included this file in the starter files of the training, so you can copy and paste it into your support folder. Okay, so in the BIM configuration, you can see the entities. We have 64 3D solids and 14 block references. So these are dumb solids, which means they don't contain any BIM information in it. So let's change that by classifying the entities we have. We can do that by selecting certain entities, for example these two slabs, and classify it as a roof. So you can find it here in the BIM category, and here, classify as roof. If you click on that and you go back to the structure browser here, you can see instead of entities we also have building elements now. And we have two roof elements. Of course, we can also do this automatically instead of doing it manually one entity at a time. We can click BIMify or BIMify Advanced to see the extra options. So as you can see here in the BIMify dialog, you can choose to BIMify the entire drawing, or you can select certain entities to BIMify. You can also choose to choose a discipline. In this case, we're just going to auto-detect and classify the solids and block references in my drawing. Also detect structural and MEP profiles. So this part, it will detect the structural and MEP profiles in your drawing, and if it already exists in your library, it will add in the name into the entity's property. If not, it will also create a new profile in your library. And then building stories and rooms and external walls. So these are the spatial locations of your building, and also detecting the exterior and interior walls. And lastly, you can select sections, which will automatically create elevations and floor plans according to the spatial locations in your building. So if I click OK, it will load for a second and you will see the structure browser has changed. My building now has 69 elements in it, and it's also ordered per level, and in each level the building elements are classified as well as added the room areas. And then here in sections you can see we have 4 elevations and 5 floor sections. Let's open up the spatial locations. So this is where the floors are added in our building. You can see here my building is called building, but you can change it for example to main building. And also the floors you can change per level to a name you want. Ground level, for example. If you click on OK, and let's close up and open up our structure browser to let it reload. You can also do that by region. You can see here the ground level has been changed and the main building name as well. Let's add in some compositions to our building. We can do that by opening the composition panel. So here we have some standard compositions that are already been created. Of course, you can add in your own as well. In this case, I already have my compositions in the project made. So you can find these ones here. If I double click on any composition, it will open the compositions dialog where you can find each composition with the plies included as well. So if I double click on a certain ply, for example insulation here, you can also have some extra information about the ply, for example for appearances, which kind of hedge it's going to have, or maybe the render material. You have some properties as well, and other identity information. So that's for materials, and here for the compositions. Okay, so here are the compositions of my drawing. So let's choose roof flat and drag and drop it inside the building. So you can see here you have an orange face highlighted, and that means that's the reference face. So that will be the first ply in your composition. So if I'm going to double click here again, the first ply is gravel. So the reference face will be starting with gravel, and then in this order. Okay, do that again. Since I want the gravel to be on the outside, I'm going to flip it. So you can see here it's changed to the top surface of my slab instead of the inner surface. If I do that again, it will be switching back. Okay, so let's enter. And in this case, I don't see any gravel material. That's because I don't have my level of detail on. So if I click that on, you can see the render material of my first ply. Let's open up the top floor section, so we can easily add in the rest of the compositions. In this case here I'm hovering over room, so if I click on tab once, then I will be selecting the slab, and then I can add in floor concrete insulated, drag and drop it inside and enter. So you can see here it will change the floor composition. Then we can add in for these two walls cavity wall front, and just accept the default reference face. And for the back side of the building, we are going to use another composition, so cavity wall back, like this. So there will be a distinction that I going to explain you later. And lastly, also one interior wall like this, and my compositions are added. Here I'm going to also change the parameter of this window. So this window is created by window create, and if you open up the properties, you will see here that it has some basic parameters in it. So let's change the frame depth to another size. So here it's 60, let's change it to 350. Okay, and you will see this window has been changed. When we are done with these changes, so save it and close the section. So my building looks something like this. Of course, we are going to complete the building, and for that I'm going to use AutoMatch. So AutoMatch, it will detect the pattern that you already created, and it will finish off your building according to your pattern. So if you open up AutoMatch, you will have the AutoMatch dialog, and click on composition and window parameters, since that are the ones that we have added or changed, and click on autocomplete. So let it run BIM Auto-Match, and you will see it has auto-completed our entire building to the compositions and the parameters that we wanted. So let's click on another floor section and open it. And you can see here all the interior walls has the same composition. Also the back wall has a different composition as the front walls. And lastly, of course, also the window parameters, the frame depth also has been changed. So that looks good. If I close that back again and save this file, I can do the same thing for other external files. So open up a second building. It's a kind of same building of the project. It has the same style, and I actually want the same compositions and window parameters in it as well. So in this case, we can also use Auto-Match to complete this building automatically. So the same icon in the ribbon, Auto-Match, and also compositions and window parameters checked on. And instead of autocomplete, now I'm going to use an external file and click on the file that we just have saved. Okay. It will give you some warning about unexpected files in walls, but just click on yes, it's okay. And then you will see here, it will have the same composition and also the same kind of window parameters that you added earlier. So you can see here the back wall also has another composition than the front walls. And if we open up a floor section, you will see the interior walls as well as the changed parameters for frame depth. Okay, so this is Auto-Match. Last thing that I wanted to show you is Propagate. So going back to main building, I'm going to make a section like this with a distance of 2000. And let's zoom in to a slab wall connection. You can see here the detail is not really realistic, so I'm going to show you how to change these kind of details in your building. Since we already have level of detail on, I'm just going to toggle on the selection of faces so we can edit our plies in the detail. So hover over the concrete face that we want to change and tap. Okay, so tap until you have the green face, which is the ply face, and click on push and pull. And you can see here we can pull this certain face to, let's say, until the insulation layer, like this. And you will see when you drag this ply to the wall, it will also delete the overlapping solids. Let's do that again for this small insulation part, like this. And let's say this is our new construction detail. Of course, if you see here or like here, these are all wall slab connections with the same kind of situation than the detail we just have edited. We actually want this detail all over the rest of the wall slab connections, and we can do that by Propagate. In this case, this is Propagate Planner, and search the entire drawing for similar situations so that Propagate can copy this, apply this detail to the other places. Okay, so what Propagate does, it will scan the entire building for similar situations and apply this particular detail to those places. So let's select the planner solids to connect. So these are the wall and the slab. Enter. And then it will ask you to select detail objects. That's for cases where you add in a new solid. In this case, I haven't created any new solids, so just press enter. It will zoom in and ask you for this detail confirmation, yes. And then it will scan the entire building for similar situations and have a check mark for you to choose whether you want this detail to be applied or not. So in this case, let's say I want all the details suggested. So it will apply to those 20 visible suggestions, like this. So if I zoom in again to another location, you will see this detail is applied to all the rest of the locations that I wanted. So this is propagate, which saved us a lot of time by automatically adding the same kind of detail to similar locations. And the last thing that I want to show you for adding BIM data is the properties. So each entity of your drawing has its own properties. So when you select an entity, for example this wall, and open up properties, you will see some information here. The general one and the 3D visualization. Also mass. These are properties calculated according to the geometry. And you cannot edit these. These are just for information. The BIM information, so that usually includes the classification and also the spatial locations of this entity. You can see also you have a GUID as well as some other information you can specify yourself, like wall type, number, and so on. Then we have quantity. That's also calculated according to the geometry of your solid, and but here you also have some ply information as well, according to the composition you dragged on this wall. And lastly, you have wall common, which comes with the BIM classification, and it's part of the IFC common properties governed by Building Smart. So these are hard-coded properties and they can be used by other BIM applications as well. Note that, for example, here I have wall common because I'm selecting the classification wall. So let's see, I'm going to select window. You will see here, instead of wall common, I will have door window glazing type, door window shading type, and window common. And in window common I have some other properties as well, like acoustic rating and security rating and so on. So it depends on what kind of classification you have. When classify in database, you will have an icon called properties. And if you open the BIM properties panel, you will see you can also go for IFC properties, but in this case we're going to use the user one, and add in the property sets. So in this case, let's call it custom, enter, and apply it for all the building elements. Of course, you can choose, for example, I only want this particular property only for windows, and I'm just going to check window, but in this case I want it for every element in my drawing. If I click on custom, I can go ahead and add a property set. In this case I want to have cost with the data type real, and let me add in another property set for manufacturer. Okay, and have the data type string, and click on OK. So now if I click on any solids in my drawing and open properties, you will see here I have a custom property set which can add in the cost and the manufacturer. So let's say 200 and manufacturer A. So if I click on another wall, there has no information, and I click back to the wall that I just added the information. You will see here 200 and manufacturer A. So this is custom properties, and this is the end of module adding BIM data. So you have seen how the structure browser works, how classification works, how to add in compositions, and then auto match it to your own drawing or an external drawing, and afterwards also add in properties as well. I hope you learned something about it, and thank you for watching. I will highly recommend you to also watch Increasing LOD as well. So this module, Increasing Level of Detail, I will be working on the same office building like this one, and furthermore adding more and more BIM data to it to make it more detailed and more realistic. So go ahead and watch that video if you're interested, and thank you for watching.